Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Teevee podcast. I'm your lovely host, Teevee Aguirre. In today's episode, we're having a conversation with Marco Cervantes, a fellow father, business owner, and anxious man who's eager to give more to the world. We talk about our past, our present, and our future while sharing stories and experiences that have shaped us into the men and the fathers that we are. Let's get right into the interview now. All right, everyone, welcome to the Teevee podcast. Last week,
Last week, a couple weeks ago, maybe.
Last week, I invited our guest, Marco Cervantes,
correct,
fellow Skyline Raider. He shared a post in which he was doing a podcast, and I had recently decided I was going to relaunch my podcast, the one you're listening to now. And I reached out to him, and he's here today. We're going to get into a little bit of his story in a second, but I wanted to kind of explain what I'm doing with the podcast. Sure. So you can also have more context, because he just said yes. Marco said yes with absolutely no clue what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure he had an idea.
Well, when a buddy from high school calls you and says, hey, let's do something, you jump on it.
Yeah, you did. We're doing this. So this podcast and the relaunch of it, my idea was to be more of a parenting podcast, where I share advice, share tips, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized, because I didn't want to do the personal development thing per se,
right?
Because there's so much of it out there. But the reality, it hit me. The reality is, to be a good father, you need to be a good human being. A good mother, you need to be like a good person. You need to improve yourself, self-development, and develop yourself to then impart that knowledge and be the person that you want your kids to be. You can't just say be good and you're...
Well, a lot of what parenting is trial and error. That's life, trial and error. You know, none of us has it.
We didn't have a manual.
There is no right way. You know?
We didn't come with a manual.
Right.
Nobody handed us a manual and said, hey, this is how you parent. So now, and as I got to thinking about it, I realized that the best way for me to push this and find my way in this, because we both have other businesses and we want to do other things outside of that, but I figured the best way to do it is going to be self-development in a sense, but with an angle and with an edge.
Okay.
And the re-education, I share the stories in the re-education of myself, especially after I graduated and started living life. And the things that I've learned along the way to help me become a better man, better partner.
Right.
I got divorced,
right.
So but I got two girls out of it, so that's the reason for the parenting. But things that I've done to become a better human being, things that may not be culturally acceptable in many ways, or is not the norm, and share that, and also bring on other people who have gone through the journey, and share their stories, and that's the reason I'm like, okay, that's perfect, then we can go from there. But that's what we're doing today, and that's my vision for the podcast, and we'll talk about all types of things, how you got here. First off, Marco Cervantes, tell me about yourself.
Just a regular guy. I mean, like...
You look like a regular guy.
You know, my journey is, it's unique in that it's my story,
right?
But I'm not unique in what I've gone through as far as you live life. You have your ups and downs. You make mistakes. You know, you say things you shouldn't. You have things that you wish you could take
back. Do
back.
things you shouldn't.
But everything I believe has led me up to this point. From high school, I went to work at a nightclub, and then after the nightclub, I got into the satellite business. I was a corporate guy in the satellite world for a long time.
Is that what got you into the AV?
Correct.
Digital?
Yeah. So what happened was I was a full-time managing a multimedia division of a big company here in Dallas, and so what I was looking at was, man, I'm making so much effort and time and putting all this of myself into this company and making them money. I bet I could do it on my own. And there's a tipping point where you keep saying I can do it on my own, and then actually jumping and doing it. And so I started a website.
What year was this?
This was about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
Started a website. A vendor called me and said, "I need help with something," and so it went from there. I mean, it's just
interesting. So here's a quick story for the how do you say, the listenership?
Right.
The people listening to this.
The audience.
The audience. That's a good word. So I do marketing, and one day I actually know Mark was from high school. We didn't know each other really well, but we knew each other.
His course class.
Yeah, there it is. Art classes, gotta love it. But we didn't know too much about each other. We know of each other. Apparently, at some point in there, we became Facebook friends.
Correct. Yeah.
I knew you were there. We didn't chat or anything, but I
Right.
knew we were mutual friends. I'm doing a presentation for a friend of mine at some type of marketing event, and I'm teaching. Before I started talking and doing my thing, I look up. I'm like, this guy looks familiar.
Oh yeah, the East Dallas stuff. Yeah. I remember that now.
And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I heard about it. I just wanted to check it out. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Which is neat because you never know what's going to happen. Right. Like, you lose touch, you know each other, you don't know each other. And then one day you're like, oh, hey, there you are. Which is crazy. And recently, though, I've noticed that you've been doing a lot. Like, the other reason I wanted to reach out to you is like, you want to do stuff outside of like you've even done the business and you're doing well, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, relatively.
I mean, we're all
3 years in. I mean, I'm still
8 years in here, bro. But you're doing well, but you also have these other ideas, and I saw you spitting some rhymes, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be even better. So tell me about that venture. What's going on there?
So in the process of being a human and going about your journey in the world, I had become lost in the entrepreneurial shuffle. You know, it is a struggle, but you get into this routine of, I have to make calls, I have to do emails, I have to be a father, I have to be a husband, and you do all of these things, and you start to get into this shuffle. And I had already in my mind started. My soul was stirring in that I'm here for a bigger purpose. Like there's something moving in me. The way that I look at things is different. The way that I experience things is different. And it became so bothersome, I like to say, or annoying that I had become agitated. Like my being had become agitated, saying there's something else out there that I'm supposed to be doing, my purpose, and so I was milling around on the internet, just kind of looking around, and I saw...
The internet would do that to you.
Yeah, I saw this advertisement for an interactive group. Okay. And it says, find your purpose in calling. Done. I put in my information.
What was it for?
It was for a organization called Shift. And what happened was...
Is it local?
No, they're based out of California,
okay.
But they have affiliates all over the place. But I got into the interactive stuff, and it was this girl named Leslie. We're friends now, but she was heading up this group, and it was interactive, and it would ask questions, and you respond to the questions, and you give your input. The whole group gives their feedback, and it was interactive, and it was great. And I'm like, first thing I thought was, there are other people that feel the same way I do.
Well, I can speak from personal experience. It's universal. And a lot of us are just caught in the rat race of just doing what we have to do, fulfilling our obligations or not. And we all feel like there's something else. And as soon as you find a group, or when you discover that there's more of you, that you're not alone in so many contexts, you feel fulfilled. Like, okay, now I know who I can talk to, who I can ping, who I can ask questions.
Yeah, I mean, and part of that longing or wanting to belong is part of being bent in some way, and you going about trying to find a way to right yourself, or set the sails to your ship, or whatever it is.
Or be more in control.
Yeah, be more in control.
It's on your own terms.
When you find a group, or you find like-minded people that will help you get there. They can't do the work for you. You have to do that. But but when you surround yourself with people of the like mind, it's a beautiful thing for sure.
Yeah. So what are you doing with your vision?
All right. So to continue, I finished the group, and I was like, man, this was great. I got to interact with people. I met new friends, and it was just great. And so Shift was co-founded by a guy named John Kim.
He goes by, you interviewed? You ended up interviewing in that podcast?
And he goes by The Angry Therapist. And so I started looking at more of his content. We're friends now, but he's a mentor. But I started reading all of his stuff, and I was like, that's me. That's me. I mean, he's talking to me, or he's talking from me, or those are my thoughts, and I can totally relate. And so as I was doing more looking and reading, and this tribe thing had finished, I was like, okay, what's next? More shuffling, but the shuffling is not the same, because now you're shuffling around thinking, okay, now I've grasped onto something that's changing me. Like this is actually moving something inside of me. More agitation, more uncomfortableness with my version of normal.
Right.
You know, and they're like, there's something going on here. And so I got a call from the other co-founder of Shift. Her name is Noelle, and she's like, hey, we want you to be part of this coaching mentorship program. I didn't even let her finish her spiel. I just said, yes.
Where do I sign?
Where do I sign? And Teevee from there, that was it. All I needed to do was be part of an organization or part of something bigger than myself, and then that was it. The writing came back, the ideas started coming back.
Yeah, I saw that. That's what reminded me that you rapped. You used to be a rapper.
Yeah,
in high school,
I
right?
had a group with my friends Steve and Greg, and it was, it just started coming back. I had rediscovered a part of me that I thought really was lost. Like I thought it was gone.
I saw the video. I think you had something written and you performed it in this video.
Right.
And I had totally forgotten you did that, but when I saw it, I'm like, hell. And one of the things, I fell in love with it, and that's I think the moment that I was really even more excited about the idea of sitting down with you. When I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was an artist. I still consider myself an artist, but I was so determined to be an artist. I, in my young mind, had I concluded that I didn't need college.
Right.
An artist, you're either good or you're not. Little did I know that the phrase starving artist exists for a reason. My idea was to go out into the world and be this artist, and I was going to paint and draw. I was a hippie and I didn't even know it. But life got in the way, and it took me off of that path. I never really did much with my art. I mean, I did pursue other avenues. I airbrushed T-shirts. I did other things here, and I eventually got into graphic design because it's less dirty. But I didn't do anything with my art the way I wanted to.
But let me ask you, did a little piece of it stay with you? Like a little piece of it kind of bothered you, or
it's always bothered that I haven't done anything with it. I mean, life got in the way. I had to pay bills. I had children. I had family. So I had to pay the bills, and I was good at work. So I did the work thing, and I've done it all my life. I'm good at working. However, that artist in me was there, and I felt somewhat fulfilled through the graphic design, through Photoshop and whatnot. But there was still something missing. And the last 6 months or so, I started to paint more. I grabbed some brushes. I saw some YouTube video, and I'm like, oh my god. So next thing you know, I buy brushes, I buy paints. And once I started putting pen to paper and a brush, I was literally blown away that it was still in there somewhere.
Dude, I can totally relate to that.
I was like, how is my hand even doing this? How is my hand painting without... Well, I had a friend that about 4 or 5 years at this point, he knew this about me, and he bought some paint classes for me. And I was in love. I fell in love, but I still let it get away from me. Like, he gave me a taste. He knew, I was very emotional because he literally gifted me 5 classes.
Wow.
So I knew that I had that in me, but when I did this recently at home, and I've been sharing some pieces, I felt reinvigorated. And so it's in there, and it was good to know that it wasn't lost.
Yeah.
That I had it in me. I just needed to devote more time to it, and that becomes a problem as you get older. Is with how many kids do you have? 2. You have 2 kids. I don't have them. I have 2 as well, but I don't have them every weekend.
Right.
And I have a girlfriend, so she requires time of me and love and whatnot. And between that and business, I find it hard to carve out time, and I'm working on actually doing that to fulfill myself, because I feel like there's something more for me to give the world.
Right.
And I just find it interesting because you were able to touch back on that.
Well,
skill.
it's been a journey, but in the same scope of what you're talking about. When the writing started to come back, I found an old notebook.
No.
From high school. lots of pictures and stuff from high school and notes and stuff like that. And then I opened up this notebook and I'm like, dude, I was pretty good.
You feeling yourself?
Hey, that was pretty good. And so part of that rebuilding or that rediscovering, that was part of that. And, just it gave me some more breath, and breathed some new motivation into what I was doing.
One of the things I've learned in life is that almost anything you do, even though you think it was a waste of time, wasn't.
Yeah.
And that it just isn't, maybe it didn't work out because of timing, because of resources, money, availability, whatever.
Right.
But I feel that having that skill and work, I knew I loved it. I met with a friend from elementary. He was my oldest friend that I still know and stay in contact with. I just bumped into him recently. He told me that's all I ever did. I painted, I drew. He couldn't get me out of the house because I was always working on something. But I never did anything with it. But the reality is, it was still in there, and it's going to serve a purpose now. Like, I feel like I have a dream that one day I've had this dream years ago, but it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to put on a gallery showing, and I'm going to have painted pieces. I'm going to have and I'm going to be proud of it. It doesn't matter to me at this point. It's like I just want to show it. I just want to show the world what I have and the pieces that I'm able to produce.
Yeah, one of the things that I had to get past was, why did it take me so long? Why didn't I do this earlier?
How did you come to terms with that? What did you end up?
What I have to do is just remind myself that the universe works in the way and the time that it should. Kind of like the way that the crust underneath us is moving in the earth, but we don't notice because it takes time to do what it does, and it manifests itself in other ways. But
that skill wasn't lost. The time devoted wasn't lost.
Correct. So,
and to see you use it now, and with the wisdom and the time that you put into it, I'm curious to see what you do with it, because if it's one thing I've learned, my daughters do spoken word. I take them to spoken word for young kids.
Okay.
I know the power of the word. I know the power of sharing their stories. So I'm curious to see what stories you share and how you motivate and inspire people.
Yeah, that's what I'm being pulled to do. And I'm saying like pulling, and it's like it's a good annoying, like, this is what you were meant to do. Some facet to help people. I was at a retreat in North Carolina about 3 weeks ago, and I was asked to do a spoken word. And I got a good response. It's something that came up at the last. I've been working on something. I have stuff that I start and don't finish, and so that would be good to do here. And one of the presenters asked me to, do this presentation.
How did he know? Did he just?
Well, they see my videos and other stuff
Gotcha.
that I do for the organization. But she asked me to do it. I put something together. I was really nervous, man, and that's the one thing I got to work on is
repetition.
Being nervous. But the response was so great. And even then, my mouth is saying thank you, but in my mind, I'm saying, are they talking to me? Like, they're complimenting me, and then this person said this thing, and very complimentary, very gracious. And I just could not accept it. And
interesting.
And I think part of that is it's supposed to be that way, for me at least.
What do you mean?
That maybe that humbleness or that critic keeps me humble enough to make sure that I'm giving the best of myself. You know what I mean?
I think as a people, I agree with you to an extent because I know that I do that as well.
Right.
But I try to allow it. I try to accept it a little more because they're genuinely giving you feedback. Right. So you've worked hard at it. You should at least accept it with a hint of like, thank you, but I still have a lot of work to do, right? It's a gift. They're giving you a gift. I had a friend once who really put me in check. She says, you gotta let people give you the gift of love, of compassion, instead of always, declining. We're taught to always, say thank you, but it was the team, it was a team effort, thank you, but no. And the truth is, if they're complimenting you on your effort, you should be able to accept it because you did put effort into it.
Right.
And we're way too humble. Like, we're at a point where it's almost annoyingly humble.
Right. Yeah.
Like we won't take a compliment well. I think as a generation, or I don't know, like it's not just me, it's not just you. I hear many people that do such a great job at deflecting
Right.
that at times it almost becomes insulting to the individual giving the compliment. Because like that's why I'm going with that. It's like just accept it and the love, the compassion, the generosity of them taking the time to say something to you.
Yeah.
While maintaining but internally I know that was good. I did good.
Yeah. I mean, but the inner critic can wreak
havoc.
havoc.
We're terrible. We're all terrible, right?
My daughter, I had done something somewhere, and somebody was giving me a compliment, and she goes, "Dad, just say thank you."
Yes. It's like, thank you. Just say thank you. Like, that's actually an option. Oh, thanks, bud.
Yeah. Stop with the bud.
Kids are great teachers.
Yeah. They're straight shooters, man.
They don't know any better yet. The world hasn't filtered them.
Yeah, just before I was telling my kids this morning, I'm gonna do an interview, and it wasn't, "Hey, job great, Dad, way to go." It was, "Don't tell any corny jokes."
Oh. I'm convinced you have to be corny. Like, the best jokes are corny. I just got this recorder, and I was telling you this story earlier. Like, a lot of the things that I do, and you told me, like, let's share this for later. A lot of the things that I do, I started this podcast 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I had 3 or 4 that in the can. It's just me talking.
Right.
I wanted to change it up for this one. But one of the things that I'm very guilty of, good or bad, depending on how you look at it, is I just do it. I just screw it. I want to figure out how to do this and put it together and launch it. And then little by little improve along the way.
Okay, all right.
And one of the things I'm most excited about is that I actually have a sound recorder. So this audio, even though we raided a Starbucks to shoot it because we had to quick change of plans, but I'm glad that I'm at a point that I did it a year ago, 2 years ago, because and this goes back to it's okay to at least do it and go for it. Because actually putting this together became a lot easier.
Okay.
It's going to be better, and I also knew I needed to get something better for sound.
Right.
I needed to improve. Can you think of instances in your life where you felt like you just went all out, balls to the wall?
Starting my business, for sure. That was a scary thing, because I had the safety net of a consistent paycheck.
That's the reason people
consistent
don't quit.
hours.
Yeah.
Health insurance, all that stuff that makes you feel safe.
Yeah.
And then saying, okay, I have to at least try. Or I'll get a year from now. I'll still be here. I'll still have the same safe job. I'll still have the same, all of the things that go along with having a steady job. But will I, a year from now, ask myself, man, why didn't I start? And so that was the biggest factor in jumping and building my plane on the way down was, what if it works out?
I like that. I actually love that because too many of us are guilty of saying, well, what if this goes wrong and this goes wrong and this goes wrong? And all those may be true, but you said it best. What if it goes right?
What if it goes right?
What if I figure it out and I navigate it and I figure it out?
And that has been a mantra of mine.
I like that.
Over the past...
I tell my girlfriend that all the time now because she's very good at troubleshooting.
Right.
She's always seeing the worst case scenario. She's going to hear this and go crazy. But one of the things I started to tell her is what if it doesn't happen? What if it goes right? What if you plan well? What if you figure it out?
Yeah.
To try to kind of alter the mindset because we're too busy looking at what could go wrong. No, what could go right?
What could go
You're
right?
a resourceful human being that's made it this far in life. What if you figure it out?
Right.
Yeah, it goes to hell a little bit, but you figure it out.
And kind of being on the entrepreneurial journey, it's kind of like fail, epic fail, small victory, and you learn. That's the way. I feel like I'm in a pinball machine sometimes, but that's the beauty of it. Is you get knocked down, you get back up. You get knocked down, you get back up. Every day.
I was just talking to my trainer. This is interesting, actually. I was talking to my trainer, and he has another, right before this, we started doing this, he has another client who is in IT or something, or programmer, and he wants to quit. So he just started, like, he's not quitting his job, but he's starting to train himself and taking courses. So right now he just finished a copywriting class. And he's actually sent it to me so I can check it out because he's following me. He's a fan of me.
Okay.
He's a fan of mine. Actually, I'm sorry, dude. I don't know your name if you're listening to this. But it was cool because it's like he's following my stories and being inspired by them. So that's super neat. But one of the things that I know for a fact he probably spent a good amount of money on that copywriting course.
Right.
One of the things I had trouble with when I quit, because I was dumb, and I quit in 2009. I was actually really foolish. I probably shouldn't have done it if I was using my intelligent brain, but I said fuck it. I wanted to be with my daughters.
Okay.
So I quit. I had no savings. I had negative in my bank account. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. I had an idea, but point is, I couldn't buy access to training or to coaching or to mentors back then. I've met a couple of people, and he bought probably a good expensive course, which you should. You should buy good training from good people that know their shit, and they're going to be expensive. And I was talking to my friend. I'm like, man, I wish I could have. I wish I could. I didn't even have credit. My credit's done because I was recently divorced. It took me a long time to figure it out because I was stubborn as hell.
Right.
I didn't want to go back to work. I figured that if I just kept at it, I would figure it out. In fact, I told myself that the same thing you said. Is like, man, I work so hard for this company. I like go above and beyond. I like sleep little. I give it all, give it all. What could happen? Because we had a little business at the time. We were making a couple $1,000s a month. I'm like, what would happen if I devoted my entire energy to this? So I said, screw it, I'm going to quit.
Right.
I mean, there's more to it. I'm not going to bore you with too many of the details, but so I did. The problem was that it wasn't that easy. It was so much more to it.
No. You know, when you start your own business, my favorite saying is, I work 80 hours a week so I don't have to work 40.
I love that one, by the way. I don't know who says that. I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Only for me, I was on salary, and I worked in the grocery retail business. It was closer to 60. I worked 80, so I don't have to work 60.
Right.
But at least they're my 60, or they're my 80. Right? You can shift them around, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
What are the other benefits for you, like, of quitting your job and doing what you do now?
There is freedom, but the freedom requires that you work a lot harder. So if I don't have to ask anybody for permission to go on vacation. I don't have to ask anybody for permission to take a break. But in that, not having to ask for permission, I have to make assurances to my customers. I have to make plans for the people who work for me. I have to do all of those things that require that I am not going to be needed when I am not available, or if I have somebody to help me, take some of the responsibilities of the business that I run.
What kind of being an entrepreneur, having done this for a while, and just live life? What, especially on the entrepreneur side, what have you imparted onto your kids that you learned that you hope that they're grasping?
Nothing in this world worth having does not come without hard work. You have to work hard in whatever realm it is. Whatever thing that you decide to do, there is going to be some aspect of falling down and getting up and hard work involved in whatever it is that you want to do. Whatever it is. Doesn't matter what you decide to do.
Name it, yeah, you name it, it's going to be an effort.
And the hustle of school and making good grades, and it might seem unfruitious, but part of that is the game. You have to go to school. You have to make good grades, and what that prepares you for is the work that life takes, and whatever it is you decide to do.
Anything else?
No, I mean that's the thing that I try to instill in them is you have to work hard, whatever it is.
I try to give them they're actually going to go to work for me.
Okay.
They're 15 and 13 now. I'm gonna have them doing videos, editing podcasts.
Social media kids are good at that.
Yeah,
and
they're already naturally. Like they both have apps.
Yeah.
And they follow people. They love the apps. They're able to edit and produce things on their own already on the apps. But I'm working on actually getting them the tools to be able to do it themselves at a larger scale. And one of the things that I've struggled with and trying to come up with a strategy for is because I'm still at the end of the day their dad.
Right. Yeah.
But in this scenario, they'd be my employees and I'd be their boss.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to figure out the best way to impart onto them that just because I'm your dad, I need shit done. Like if I have a video that needs to be produced, I need you to finish it at the time that you've been allotted. If not, heads are gonna roll.
Does that work with chores?
To some extent. They're not terrible, but they don't have too many because they just come over.
I'm only laughing at you because you're just reminding me of the asking to do chores and being responsible at home. Yeah,
I've had several conversations, and I think it's finally coming through because my older one actually, and that's what I needed. They needed motivation. The older one wants some money to go on a trip for choir to Austin or somewhere.
Yeah.
And if it's one thing that I've been good at, that I've succeeded at, she understands that she has to work for it.
Right. Yeah.
She says, Dad, it's going to be about $800. I really need to start working for you. I said, okay. So now she has an end goal in mind. I need to get X amount.
Well, I'm not just going to give it to you.
I'm not just going to give you. And I love that she didn't ask for it. Like not once did she say, hey, Dad, can I borrow $800 or I want to go on this trip. I need you to fund it.
Right.
Oh, hell no. Like, let's work. That's fine. Let's work at it. So she offered to she's like, when can I get started? Yeah. I said, good. Now I know that you're more committed because it's not just kind of open-ended, like, oh, you're going to work for me and I'm going to give you a project. No, you're going to work for me and you're going to get this money that's going to fulfill this desire of yours.
Right. And if she's asking, to be part of it, you got to give her something to do.
So I got to get her through some training and whatnot, but my goal is that through time, like one of the dreams that I have is that I give them the job. I don't want them working for McDonald's, but then part of me wanted no, they need to go work for McDonald's. They need to go work at a grocery store, so I have to be a boss. Somebody else's employee, and they get screamed at and yelled at, and the customers are screaming at. So when they come to me, I'm easy. It's like, because I'm relatively easy, just get the shit done.
Yeah.
That's when, because I have clients that are expecting it. But
I'm grateful for my boss who was a dick, or for my boss who was lazy, or for my various coworkers that I've been with in one of the 100 jobs I've had who showed me something to do or not to do.
Yeah, like that's a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
But anyways, my hope for them is that I will impart enough of the work ethic and understand that whatever you want to do is perfectly fine. I'll help you with it. But you're going to have to apply yourself. You're going to have to work hard in whatever it is you want to choose. You can be a doctor, you can be a roofer, you can jump on a roof. I don't care. But they will always have these skills.
Right.
Because I think these are valuable skills. Video editing, being able to speak in front of people, being able to do any of these things to share their message at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, work ethic is probably...
That's one. My dad is an interesting fellow, but there's one thing he taught me was work ethic. Like, he gave me my hustle.
Right.
And for that, I'm eternally grateful because that's what keeps me going. Like, every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm doing well in life. I'm doing well with the business.
Right.
But it's like I have bigger dreams.
Yeah.
And I can't sleep on my laurels. I gotta get my hands up.
I'm the same way, man. I get internally bothered. Like I get stirred when I have something that's going on. I'm like, man, I need to really move on that. Like it's really, really moving my spirit, or urging me to do something.
And I think it's rubbing off on my girls. Like, and this goes back to the parenting. Is like, whatever you're doing, you're the model for an adult. Like, you're the first.
Yeah.
You and your wife, their mother, are the first models for adults and behavior. So I believe that I'm grateful that I have that work ethic. So at the very least, they see it, they can model it, and see that every day I'm still like learning. I'm still applying myself. Because I want to keep improving. I hate sitting still, and that's probably bad because I probably should just take breaks.
And one thing that I found is that I used to keep my frustration to myself about my business or whatever. But
I'm guilty of that. My girlfriend hates it.
But what has helped me is kind of going through those motions with my family.
Yes.
They see me falling down. They see me, but most important is they see me getting back up. They see me on the phone outside in the front pacing about something, or they see me talking to a client.
They can appreciate it more.
Yeah, and they see, hey, there's the work ethic right there. There is him falling down. There is him getting back up.
That's a very valuable point. It reminds me when my kids were there when I quit my job, obviously.
Okay.
I was living with my parents. And they remember how, like, literally recently, we had a pizza. We were eating pizza at a nice swanky pizza joint.
Okay.
and the pizzas were like $15 each. And they're like, Dad, you remember when we only got one pizza and it was like $5 and that was a lot, like because you were struggling. Like they knew the struggle, they could speak to it. So one thing, it's awesome that you mentioned that they can see the struggle, they've seen the evolution, and they're like, wow, we're doing okay. Yeah, but we can be ass out at any given moment if I don't treat my clients with respect, I don't follow through. But I love that they've seen that so they don't get too spoiled.
Right.
Hopefully. So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're an entrepreneur, there's nobody to pass the buck to. There's nobody to call and say, hey, I'm sick today. There's nobody to call to say, hey, can you cover for me? I mean, it's all up to you. And your attitude and your work ethic and your presentation of your own business reflects on your whole network. People who work for you, your clients, your vendors, all of those people that you deal with. You know, if you're not out there being the best your network feels it. You know?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Is there any parting thoughts you'd like to share? Anything?
No, I want to go back to something that you said in the beginning, was that your art is part of you. It's like my writing and poetry is part of me. And because we have rediscovered that, we are imparting the best parts of us into the universe. Because when you don't, you're doing your network and the universe a disservice by not being the best you. Like, just imagine what this world would be like if you weren't doing what you love to do. You know what I mean? And so that's
sad world.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. And you want your legacy to be, I was the best version of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
I'm excited. My girlfriend actually, because she sees that, we got an easel put up in the living room. I need to use it. It came in from Amazon and it broke, but that's another story. But she's encouraging me, and for that I'm grateful because she sees how much it means to me, and she's doing everything she can to encourage it. Because she sees, I did a piece of her too. So, I mean, I love that, and I love that she's helping me along that path. And it's crazy, but at one point I really thought I lost it. But it's in there somewhere.
It's in there.
I think I read this somewhere, like the body never forgets.
Right, muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
I put so many hours into it, so it's nice to know that it's in there. And I guess in a way, like for the audience, I challenge y'all, like, what have y'all lost touch with that maybe you can go back to or pursue?
You have something that makes up your code.
Yeah.
And you can find it again, or whatever keeps you up at night, and you're really not sure of what that is. You can't sleep, or something's pulling at your heart, and you're like, I'm not sure what's making me so anxious. That is your purpose or your calling pulling at you. So there is something that you used to love, or something that you used to do on a regular basis, something that made you happy. I would say just go baby steps back into that little thing, that
try to get back in touch with that aspect, that thing that you once loved, whether it be music, writing, art, whatever that may be. And try to see if you can't reach it back and see if you still have it. I guarantee you.
Yeah, don't let fear talk you out of not doing that. Fear is a manipulator. It's a liar. It will convince you that this thing that pulls at you is not good for you, or to try to talk you out of it, or come with convenient excuses of why you shouldn't do this. If you can just push past it, baby steps at a time,
You can, don't be afraid to take a step towards it. Where can people if they want to get in touch with you or follow you?
All the information is on Life Juggernaut on Facebook, at Life Juggernaut on Instagram, Marco Cervantes.
I'll make sure to include this on the show notes and on the website. And, follow him and
lots of good content on there, and more content to come as I, evolve and make my way, and something I want to talk to you about after the podcast about how to.
Brother, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. I apologize for the background noise. We were originally going to record in his office, but there was just too much noise because they were working on his roof. We ended up in a Starbucks and made the decision to just run with it, even though it was noisy there as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It really will help us grow worldwide. My show will aim to share ideas which may not be too popular in different areas of life, such as health and wellness, parenting, and personal development. Until next time, have a great day, and we'll talk soon.